I'm Njpw and Byson. I ran out of booze because I've been drinking at Moe's tonight.
All right, everybody. Want to thank the sponsor today, Reaper Apparel. Want to encourage everybody to break out of the comfort zone, live their best self, which I very much support. They got great apparel, hats, shirts, beanies, hoodies, all that good shit. Be sure when you go on to reaperapparel.com, use the code DRINKIN for 10% off your order. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody, welcome to Drinkin. Moe's host Big Mo here. Be sure YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all that good shit, because the pain in the ass algorithm helps me out. Algorithm's a fucking tongue twister of a word, but we're on Apple, Google, Spotify. Leave a review, rate the show. I welcome it. Today I have with me Rip and Byson. How you doing?
Doing good, Big Mo. How are you doing? What are you drinking there?
Kona Big Wave.
Oh, okay. I got a little bit of Jack Daniels for you, so this will be fun.
All right. Yeah. I do have, and I can't find it anywhere here in Omaha, but I bought some on a Wisconsin trip, Stone Cold's Broken Skull American Lager in the fridge, but I only have like one left, and I'm wanting to try to save it for WrestleMania, but we'll see how well that goes.
Well, you got a month left, right?
Yeah, got a little bit.
Yeah.
But I got some things I'm looking forward to. I not too long ago had one of the ring announcers for Sami Callihan's promotion, Pro Wrestling Revolver, on, and he said the next time they have a show out in Des Moines, he has my ticket. So it's like, I'm like, well, fuck, if you're gonna tell me that, I mean, I'll be there.
Yeah, right. Yep. If it's free, you'll take 3.
Oh yeah, I mean, hell, all I gotta do if I have to drive myself out there is pay for a hotel, but with military and another discount I can possibly get. I mean, that shouldn't be too bad. So, but yeah, no, I got lots of good things coming. I have literally, I do the interviews and then I like upload them, edit them, and get them scheduled out. So I got ones already done that I've scheduled out like at least one a week for the entire month of March.
Hell yeah. Busy man.
Yeah, you could say that. But first thing I'd like to talk with each guest is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you started, deciding to make the leap into the business, because literally everybody's got their own story on it.
My story is really pretty much probably what everyone else says. I was a little kid. I was watching it on TV with my parents. I fell in love with it. I was the wrestling kid at my school, and I joined my school's wrestling team to get into it and stuff. And then finally, when I graduated, I decided I was going to start training professionally. And so it's always been like a lifetime goal for me to be part of wrestling. And it's just, I'm very fortunate to be able to pursue it now.
Oh, yeah. No, that's awesome. I know for myself that out of my family, I was really the only one that stuck with being a fan of professional wrestling. I remember, give me 1 second, dog's getting into something. Pause it real quick. Oh, yeah. Okay. Life of live recording when you're when you got a puppy. But yeah, no, I was really like I mentioned, the only one that was really sticking with it. My little brother was into it for a little bit with me, and I remember when I got back from the Navy, I would go to some of the local shows because I met a guy that did some spot stuff down in California where I was stationed, who ran a promotion up here. And I remember my family was telling me, "You really think you're going to meet anybody at those shows?" And coincidentally, a couple of years go by, and I'm at a show, and like 45 minutes after I got there, probably not even that, a guy that I ended up making my best man introduced me to this girl that was helping out at the merch table. And well, now we've been together for about 5 years now.
Oh, there you go. Love at a wrestling show.
But it was funny because I remember walking up to my dad on the wedding day and just walking up and laughing. I'm like, "I remember when you told me that, and now look at me."
Right? There you go. That's good. That's good luck then.
Oh yeah, no. And she might not be like a fan per se, but she supports me liking it, so I take it as a win.
Yeah, there you go.
But one thing I like to talk with everybody about is what inspired your in-ring persona, because once again, like what got you started as a fan and getting into wrestling, everybody has their own story. What inspired it, what goes into it, that sort of thing.
With what I'm doing now, I've been in the business for 10 years now. And for the first, actually, no, I'm going on to 11. So the first 7.5 years, I was doing a different gimmick. And I'm not going to go much into it because it was really a dead end type gimmick. And basically I was pigeonholed into it by people, my peers where I trained, because I was a clean shaven kind of, I was leaner and stuff. I didn't look tough. So they said, and what Rip Byson is right now, he's a tough guy. He takes a lot of beat. He's like Cactus Jack, Bruiser Brody, Dan Hansen. This was always been me. This is how I was in high school, when I played football, when I did amateur wrestling and stuff. I was always a tough, no matter what, I wanted to win, and it didn't matter what I did to myself or my opponent. The goal was winning and being tough and getting through it. And so for 7.5 years, I was basically told by peers that you're not tough, So I did this other gimmick that was kind of more hokey and stuff like that. And then finally one day I just decided, he said, "You know what? No, I'm going to grow a beard. I'm going to grow some hair on my chest. I'm going to change my hair, and I'm going to be Rip Byson. I'm going to be that tough guy." Because I started getting a little bit bigger in the gym and stuff. And so, and I was like, man, I always like Cactus Jack. I always like Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, the American Badass Undertaker I grew up with. I wanted to be a tough guy. I wanted to be a badass, man. And so I finally just decided, you know what? I'm going to do that. And 3 years later, going on to 4 years of doing this gimmick, now it's been the most success I've ever had in wrestling. I really am my own. And that's really what went into it. I just became myself.
And those are what make the best ones, really. You always hear that the best ones are the ones that are just that person, just maybe turned up at 10.
Yeah, this isn't even me turned up. This is me. We're calm right now because we're talking and stuff. But when what you see inside the ring in my matches and stuff, that's me when I'm with wrestling or when I'm around my friends and stuff. That's just we're there, and I can just be myself. It's cool. Granted, yeah, sure, maybe my name's not Rip Byson, but Rip Byson is me. I am Rip Byson. That is there's no gray area.
Oh no, that is amazing. And You bring up a guy that, I've talked about with a few people as being one of my favorites, and one of the people that one of the few that from when I was younger that I could actually remember because they just put that impression on me was Bruiser Brody. And when you brought him up, I'm like, I was watching some footage and doing homework for the episode, and I'm like, you know what? Bruiser Brody came to mind. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of great things that he did. He had I've watched a lot of DVDs on him and a lot of videos because I mean, unfortunately, I'll never meet him. I'll never meet many of my heroes, honestly. But he would have been one just to pick his brain about how he did business. He seemed very smart and like how he conducted himself in and outside of the ring. And so I just started really watching him and like taking notes on, okay, maybe this thing isn't too good, but this is a great idea. This is a great mentality and stuff. And so he was really how I look at business, as wrestling as a business and stuff. And then, like I said, I sprinkled in because I'm not six. What was he? 6'7", 6'8". I'm
I
not.
was gonna say he was up there, yeah.
I'm not that big. I'm never going to be that big. So I have to. I'm 5'10". I might be 6 foot on a good day, if I'm standing up nice and straight. But so I with him being the base around it, I built off of him from my favorite guys. I took the Cactus Jack, a lot of his stuff, the danger factor of that. I took the Stan Hansen's, which was the rough and tough. And like I said, Bruiser Brody was a perfect like starting spot.
Oh yeah.
Just to, now I can just grab little things and I'm really proud when, and it's not like, oh, I'm sick of people comparing me to Bruiser Brody. No, I'm honored to be compared to Bruiser Brody. I think people think that I do him justice without stealing all of his stuff and being Brody too. So I respect that, and I'm glad that people get that from my performance.
Oh no, I can definitely see that. It's like you have enough of him that you can definitely sense that, but you don't go to the point where you would be like a complete carbon copy.
Yeah.
No, I get that. That's definitely awesome. And another thing, and we don't have to go too much into like the previous gimmick, but I was curious because when part of doing my homework, I saw a whole bunch of tag team titles on your resume. And like I'm such a huge fan of tag team wrestling, and I'm liking how trying to come to mind here the right words. I'm loving how it's kind of coming back into light more than how it had been. Because especially on the promotions with a national scale, I feel like, well, especially WWE, is like it was kind of just on the back burner. Let's like, okay, we don't have anything for these two people, so here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider yourself like a tag team specialist, or what are some of your thoughts on like current tag team wrestling?
I think currently right now I'm like 50-50 between being a tag wrestler and a single wrestler. I've always been a singles wrestler. It's funny you say how WWE kind of throws two guys together. Most of my previous tag teams were just there's two guys, we threw them together and we got over, and so we won championships. And we got the belts because we got over, but we weren't necessarily, that wasn't the plan. We didn't want to be, most of my tag team partners I feuded with them before we became partners, But my current partner, Perry Von Vicious, for our team Mutually Assured Destruction, we feuded in that previous gimmick for like 3 years straight. It was like, I would have a match, like, I swear every other week I was wrestling him on a show. And then we finally just said, we're always in the car together and fighting each other. Why don't we just become a tag team and then we can wrestle someone else other than each other, And so that's where that's how all my tag teams have been. Even the two before that, I had matches with these guys. We had like 3 or 4 or 5 matches, and then the promoter went and said, "Hey, you guys are pretty cool together. What if we throw you in a tag team because we got nothing else for you to do?" And so, am I a tag team specialist? I think I have a good psychology for it, but in the current state of tag team wrestling, man, I'm not. No, some of these teams are amazing now. There's so much good tag team. I also book for Pro Wrestling Grind, so I have to look at a lot of these guys and study their tape and stuff, and I see them and I'm like, man, I'm old and slow. And I don't consider myself old and slow, but compared to these guys, like there's the team above the rest. They're amazing. Main Event from New York, those guys, the Lion and ringleader Midas they're probably my favorite tag team. The MSP from up in Maine, they have their own thing and they're great too. And there's so many other, I can't name them all. We'd be here all day talking about tag team. Like, and that's just in the Northeast where I am, where all the teams are. And it's like, am I a specialist? No, I can get through a match pretty good with these guys. But man, these guys, tag team wrestling is now up on a different level. You have to be 100% committed to that, and my hat goes off to them. Those guys are crazy, but yeah, no, I like I said, I like to say that I know what I'm doing in a tag team match. I'm pretty successful at it, as you can tell with the belts I've had and stuff. I've had a lot of title matches in there and success, and we've made money. But I don't consider myself a specialist at that. I'm more of a singles wrestler who gets put into teams,
No, and you bring up a good point, really, because I mean, some of the tag teams that how they ended up getting their start. I'm pulling a brain fart here. I'm wanting to say it was actually Public Enemy, how they got their start with Paul Heyman. I think I remember hearing the story on one of the documentaries how they were feuding together, that he's like, they would make a good tag team. So, I mean, sometimes that two people feuding as singles, sometimes it ends up working out pretty well.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if you know your opponent so well, you can be a good partner to them, That's a good way to look at it. And like sometimes things just randomly click too. You get that perfect that perfect recipe, So you don't I think if you take everything professionally and seriously, no matter what, you'll be successful at it. So if you're given a tag team, whether you want to be one or not, I think if you go into it with the right mindset, you can make everything work and be good. And I think that's what a lot of tag teams nowadays are doing. It's just tag team wrestling is its whole other thing. Those guys are worth every penny that people are paying them, because it's a whole different. It's amazing. And I'm not knocking on singles wrestlers either, because there's a ton of good singles wrestlers. But like tag team wrestling is like, when you're in a tag match, you got to step up now. You got to be on the level of these guys, And it's really fun to be a part of.
Oh yeah, and when I was going through and thinking about, because I've been lucky enough to interview some pretty great tag teams. One here locally that they're running roughshod all over the place. And one of my first ever national, one of the first ones I ever did on Zoom was with the SATs, Spanish announce team. And I'm like, tag team them, they're doing their thing, and it's like, that would be an interesting match if it because I don't think that one's happened yet.
No, nope, it has not. I don't think.
And I'm like, I think that would be a pretty good one, because they're definitely picking up steam. They got you know, stuff going all up there northeast, and I know they got their promotion. Wrestling is now that they're getting up and running. They got a school they're doing.
Yep.
They believe here first weekend in March they have a shot at the GCW tag team titles, so it'd be pretty cool match.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And when thinking back to them, like they have a lot of history with a few different promotions, one of them being CZW. And when I was looking back and doing research, you had a little bit of time there, more on some of the dojo shows. And what was that like? Because I mean, for a little while, they were known kind of the big death match promotion, and then they started getting away with it, and now they're getting back into it.
When I was there, actually, if it wasn't for my time at the dojo tapings, I really wouldn't have thought about going all in with this character, because I was still doing my old gimmick there, and love him or hate him, however you want to say it. DJ Hyde actually sat me down and he said, "So what is this, and like, do you really want to be this?" And it was the first time that someone actually took the time and said, and I mean, he didn't give me any ideas on how to change it or how to do something else. He just put the thought in my head, like, is this really what you want to be doing? And so I am very grateful for my time there. Man, those shows were rough. They were a Wednesday night, like call time 6 o'clock in New Jersey, which was luckily I had Perry Von Vicious. We were riding down there to do them, but that was a 5-hour drive on a Wednesday night. We had work the next day. Fucking going to. I'm sorry, I swore. But anyways,
it's all good.
Yeah, what you call it? It was a rough transit, and for not a lot of money. We didn't get any money. We were just looking for TV time basically on their show just to get reps in, and yeah, it was rough. And they weren't long matches, and I can't say that a lot of my matches were very good there because we didn't have a lot of time. There was 20 matches on a card. They want to get done in 3 hours, so we only had 5 minutes to be out there. But no, it opened that little 6-month period that we were actually trying to go down there all the time. We were going down like once a week at one point. It was and that was insane. For not making any money, I don't know what we were doing or what we were thinking, the love of the business, but yeah, we go down there, and it helped me get past the roadblock that I was at in my career at that time, because I was just treading water and starting to sink. So luckily, like I said, CZW opened that up. We weren't there that long.
Yeah.
Didn't really have anything. We never got to do any of their big shows. We wanted to, but it just never worked out. With obviously dates and stuff, because we were wrestling, and at the time we were going up to Canada all the time. We were going all over the place, so it's like, oh man, how are we going to get to New Jersey to Canada and stuff, and it's like 20-hour drive, and it's like we can't. You just can't do it, especially with driving. But yeah, no, I'm thankful for that little bit of nuggets of knowledge that I learned from there. But that's all I really got out of that. I really can't say I knew the inner workings of that. There's a lot of great guys who came out of there. Jordan Olive, kicking ass. I'm blanking on his name right now. His partner, or his old partner from there for Young, Dumb, and Broke.
I'm blanking on it myself.
Yeah. Anyways, he's doing great. He looks great. I know he's still working there. He just had a match with Kenta at CZW. So there's a lot of good that came out of that period of that period of time that when I was down there, and I'm thankful to meet all of them then, whatchamacallit.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of great people that have come out of there, and sometimes all it really takes is somebody lighting that little spark for the idea to get something like the Switch and Persona that doing pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, we're doing pretty good. We're doing great. This is the best. This is the happiest I've ever been in this business, man. It's just what you call this is a blast doing what I'm doing now. And like I said, it was a little spark. It was just a little spark, and I needed a little push, and then I realized here we are.
Yeah, no, and like I said, sometimes that's all it takes is that little spark, that little push to get you really going.
Yeah, and I guess I can't be one of the New Jersey haters because that's where I found my happiness was in New Jersey of all places. So I guess I can't bury it too bad. But
Yeah, you can't be.
I'd still rather just drive through that state.
I, you know, I have to say the closest I've ever actually come to New Jersey is when I was in New York City shortly after the 1 year anniversary of the whole September 11th thing. And like I could see New Jersey, but I never went over there.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Well, I have two categories I kind of like to go over, and my dogs are starting to fight by my feet. But two categories that I kind of like to do here, where first one's a bit of a name game, where when I'm doing my research, I go and I find some people that, people might know that, you've at least shared the locker room with,
Okay.
been on the same card, and you give me your thoughts on them. Doesn't have to be anything too long, but you get the picture.
Yeah.
First one, former guest of the show, and give me a second here while I take a shoe away from my dogs. Gary J.
I love Gary J. He's so cool. I'm happy. That's he's one of the guys that I found booking for Pro Wrestling Grind. He sent a thing up, and I was very happy to be part of getting him up here and getting some reps. We actually had a match in the last day of December at the Restival on IWTV. We had our match for Pro Wrestling Grind, open the show, and it was a blast. I love his work. He has a really good mentality. He probably won't like saying it, but I consider him one of my friends now in the business, man, because we hung out here and stuff like that, and which really broke the bread over wrestling. I like Gary.
No, he's awesome.
Man, it's tough. Man, he is. He's. I say I probably have 100 pounds on him. That guy hits so hard, man, and I love that kind of wrestling. I love getting a little roughed up in there, so it's like, oh, I feel alive, And yeah, no. I like Gary a lot.
I like that. I love that type of wrestling. That the people that you just get that intensity from them. They just ooze it. And love it. He's actually, and I'm trying to piece together a special thing for the YouTube channel for a tribute for this. Dogs are acting crazy right now, but there's this promoter here in town, coincidentally the one that I met in California, that passed away towards the end of this last year, and he has a little bit of a history with him, so he's getting to be a part of it, but the world of independent wrestlers sometimes trying to schedule when to send off it's one of those things, but I'm confident we'll get something in there and it will be pretty good.
Yeah.
But next one, I've ran into this guy a few times. Guy that definitely oozes intensity. His entrance, in my opinion, is a bit Ultimate Warrior-esque with how intense it is. Warhorse.
Warhorse was my first big match. I was 3 months into this gimmick at Byson, and he was my first big match at Limitless Wrestling. I debuted at Limitless Wrestling against him for the IWTV World Championship. So I met him. So I was thrown right into the deep end of, man, I was so nervous going into that match with him because I mean, like, he's a big national name at that point. He's still hot, but man, that was when he was hot. Like, boom, like, we're firing up Warhorse, everything. He was getting thousands of followers every week and stuff. And that was when AEW was really, oh, let's have Cody Fears Warhorse and stuff. It was right in the middle of that. And yeah, so I had just started this gimmick 3 months in, so I had just changed everything over, and no one knew who I was. And I was so nervous going out there because, one, I didn't know. I found out 2 weeks before that match that I was going to wrestle him, and I was like, oh, holy crap, what a debut. And then the night of the show, they're like, oh, by the way, it's an IWTV title match. And I was like, oh crap. Now I'm like, well, I'm a nobody. Here we go. I hope they know who I am. And I got a pretty good reaction when I came out from the Limitless crowd, and I was like, oh man, this is great. And then he came out, and I was like, now I'm confident because he's over. I'm over. It doesn't feel awkward. I feel like I belong. And then we gelled. We both like the same music. I swear if he hadn't said that he's a metalhead, I was going to be the metalhead gimmick because, man, everything, I swear, he's like, you like this band? I like this band. You like this band? I like this band. That's how our friendship started. And now I book him all the time up here, or I try to book him all the time. He's very busy, but no, I like Warhorse. I appreciate him putting me. I mean, he won the match, but at the end, he gave me the rub, and we did the head banging in the middle of the ring, handshake and stuff. So I appreciate what he did for me, and it really helped people. It accelerated my rise because of that match, and it didn't take as long. All of a sudden, boom, he's wrestling Warhorse. Oh, he's good enough to wrestle Warhorse, and so now I could go on to other things. So yeah, no, I like Warhorse a lot. I try to book him as much as I possibly can. It's always good to talk to him.
Oh yeah, I've ran into him a few times. One when he was I think it was pre Warhorse, when he was a part of the tag team Viking War Party.
Yep.
And I met them up
or whatever.
Oh yeah, that they were intense. I think the promotion that I went to up there, they did 2-night things. The first night was actually I believe them versus Eric Cannon and the now Ruby Soho in a street fight.
Okay.
And that went all over the place. It was insane. And then I got invited to Warrior Wrestling when they did a show down in St. Louis, and he was on the card there, which that was pretty awesome. And then he was a part of a Monsters Ball match at the last Revolver show that I went to. That, good grief, that then led into my first ever, what I call a legit death match, and not just one of those ones that you see on national TV that they say, oh, the Texas death match, and doesn't really, it's more of a hardcore match masquerading as a death match.
Yeah.
But this one, it led right into that. There was still thumbtacks and shit all over the ring, and one of the guys came in and said, while they were trying to clean up, he's like, fuck that shit, leave it, let's go.
Oh, jeez.
It was insane. But next one that I believe she's actually been on Revolver, and she actually challenged the now GCW World Champion for one of their next shows, I believe up there in New York City, Masha Slamovich.
Mm-hmm. I wrestled Masha 2 years ago at New Year's Eve. She is one tough cookie. She actually she went on tour in Japan the first time a couple of years ago with my girlfriend Delmi Exo. They went over to Marvelous together. So I found out a lot about her through Delmi. She's tough. She has a great work ethic, and she deserves all the success she's having, and that's pretty much all I said. We don't really, what you call it. I've been on a ton of shows with her, but usually too busy to even catch up and talk. The only time I really ever talked to her was when we had our match together, and she's great. She's tough.
Oh yeah.
Tough. Like you mentioned 3 that are all super tough. They're all tough. I'm gonna be saying that a lot probably.
Yeah. No, I like when I saw these names pop up, I'm like, ooh, I want to ask about them because I mean,
Yeah.
like I've had Gary J on. I would love to have Warhorse on, but I mean, like trying to book him as much as possible. I mean, like you said, he's a busy guy, so it's not too terribly easy to really get a hold of him.
Yeah.
But I mean, probably easier for you, but me not so much.
It took a couple days for him to read my messages, so it's like I get it. Those guys are. I mean, I think he just got back from Europe and stuff, and hell, even with Masha, she's all over the place and stuff like that. These guys have really busy schedules, and kudos to them.
Oh yeah, and I mean, even more so with Masha. I mean, she's pairing it up there on Impact, and then you got all the independent dates that she's doing, and going over there to GCW and all that sort of stuff. And
like I said, very tough, very, very tough.
Oh yeah, nope, she's a tough cookie, and I'm always looking forward to whenever I see she's on a card. That's for sure. Next up, Ricky Shane Page.
No, that was a surprise match for me. That was actually the first time I ever talked to him. Not the first time I ever met him. I met him years ago at Freelance. He probably doesn't remember me because I was the opener of the pre-show Freelance, so he doesn't remember me from that. And he was very busy that day. He seemed kind of grumpy too. So I stayed out of his way, and because the guy practically invented modern indie wrestling. So I'm just gonna, we all know who you are. Stay out of your way. No, that was a surprise match. That came out of left field, and I was like, oh wow, cool. And he's a sweetheart, great to talk to, very smart, watches the whole card, really knows what his match should be and stuff. Man, he's just really smart. And of course he is, because how long has he been around? He's been around forever, and he will be around forever. He's smart enough to know that he can go 100 years in this business and still make money. So yeah, no, it was really nice for the short period of time that I was with him and actually got to talk to him. It was nice to sit under that learning tree and learn some things. He's just a well of knowledge. And also super tough.
Another one of those tough ones. Yeah, nope, he is definitely every bit of that. And yeah, I haven't got to see much of his stuff lately. I've been pretty busy myself, but I always do enjoy whenever I do get to see one of his matches on a show.
Yeah, he's very good.
No, definitely. Next thing I have is a bit of a random question category. I really only the first and the last questions are really the only ones that are always on there. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. I never really know until I'm putting my notes together. But
all right, let's go.
Yeah, you answer how you see fit. First, craziest in-match moment.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a hard one. I've been in a lot of matches. In match, I was being involved in a match where I'm the baby face and I'm working the heel, and the heel's pissed off a fan so much that the fan starts getting close to the ring, and now I'm getting swamped on. Right, he's beating the tar out of me, and he puts me in a hold, and he looks at the guy, and he goes, "You fat blah blah blah" to him, and the guy all of a sudden he starts going to the ring. Now I can't do anything. I'm stuck in like a camel clutch, and the guy while using me, is going, come on, come into the ring. And so this guy's getting, luckily security came out of nowhere and dragged or backed the guy off. But yeah, no, that's the craziest thing where I couldn't do anything, you know? Like there's other things, like I've been in, I took a superplex off the top of a 15-foot ladder. I've gone through ladders. I've gone through doors. I've gone through. I was in a match up in Canada, and there was a big. They had a big metal ramp for their entrance. I mean, it was about, so the stage where the entrance was about 3 feet up, and then it comes down. So it's this huge metal grating. And I said, I took a back body drop on it, and that was crazy. I was in another match where there was a U-Haul truck, and we were outside. We were at a festival, and we're beating up the guy. We climb up on top of this U-Haul truck. I knock the guy off, and I jump off this thing. And it wasn't the small little one; it was a big one. U-Haul truck, and I jumped off the top of that, and all these people who've never seen wrestling are going, what is this guy doing? I jumped off the damn thing. Yeah, so there's been a lot, but no, definitely the ones where you can't do anything and you see like, oh, here comes a pissed off fan, or oh, somebody is that I can't control it now, what's gonna happen? Those are the crazy ones.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen my fair share of crazy ones myself. One was actually at that death match that I saw at the Revolver show, where it ended by them taking 4 chairs, bridging 2 panes of glass, and then one of the guy's managers came in and pulled out a thing of lighter fluid and lit the glass on fire.
Oh, geez. No, not for me, man. I can't do fire. I'm a welder by trade, so I'm sick of lighting myself on fire. During my real job, I don't want to do it in a ring.
Oh yeah, and then you bring up ladders. The guy that I made my best man, he was in a multi-person ladder match one time where they bridged a ladder between the ring apron and the guardrail, and he was on the ring apron, and all of a sudden he had this guy on his back, and I'm like, I'm on the other side of the ring from where it was going on, and all of a sudden I see him, I'm like, no. All of a sudden, ladder goes like a V, and it was like, oh shit.
Yeah, those ladder matches, they're always crazy. The one I was in, we built a big structure out of, like, we had 2 standing up in the ring, one bridging it halfway up. We're walking across it. It like made a scaffold, and it was just like, and there's 40 people in the crowd. It's like, why? What are we doing? And then we're up there. It's like, oh, too late.
Yeah, got to go for it now.
Yeah.
But you bring up the one where you couldn't do anything, and the guy was pissing off a fan. I actually had a show I went to where this guy was pissing off these apparent biker gang guys, and all of a sudden later on in the show, guy walks right in front of me, and I'm literally like, I can see something in his back pocket, and I'm like, that don't look like no flashlight. And I'm like, I go and I tell one of the friends I had that worked there, I'm like, you might want to make them aware of that, because I don't want anything happening.
Yeah, no, some fans are crazy, man. They think they take it a little too serious.
Well, that and you have the shows where alcohol is served, and you get that mixed in there. It's just craziness.
Yeah.
Next one. What is a match type or a weapon that you would like to be avoided in a match with you if you had the choice?
Glass.
Glass.
I don't like glass. I've had light tubes when I'm working fall on me, and I don't like. Yeah, sure, that it breaks into tiny little pieces, but the little tiny shards of glass that you don't know are in you, and then 3 weeks later you're like, what is that? and that, or like the panes of glass. I'll take anything, honestly. I'll do anything, but man, that glass, it can get stuck in you. And I don't like that. I don't like the fact that, okay, the match is over, we're done, we clean up, we're good. And then all of a sudden, a week later, I'm going, oh, what's that in my head? You know, like, why am I bleeding again? Oh, there's a chunk of glass in me, or it's in my back and I can't lay down because I can't find it because it's a little sliver. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't ever want to be anywhere near glass match. Even when I'm on shows where they do a light tube or something, I'm one of the guys in the back going, "You clean that ring. I'm not going out there until that ring's clean because I'm not getting. I did not sign up for lights in my regular match. I don't want to. Yeah, no, I don't like that. I've been hit with barbed wire and stuff. Hell, the fire doesn't scare me. Like I said, I'm a welder, so I get lit on fire daily. I just, man, that glass, it's annoying. It hurts and you bleed everywhere. And yeah, no, not for me.
No, I've heard kind of the same thing when it comes to different small objects. Like one that initially surprised me when I had Alex Cologne on, he mentioned toothpicks, and I'm like, very much similar aspect where, like, you might get lucky and you get the whole thing out, but you break off the wrong piece and then you have freaking piece of wood getting embedded in you and infected and shit.
No, I like it. I like the stuff if if it goes into me, I hope it comes out, you know?
Nope, I am with you on that one. Mentioned, the drink that you had there. What would you say is a favorite drink, alcoholic, non, or, one of each?
Every non-alcoholic drink I drink is mixed with alcohol. So that's what we call it. So any soda with booze in it is great, but no, I'm a big fan of Jack Daniels. I love Jack, and I also have, on the other side, I love tequila. So those are my two go-to if I'm going to be doing anything. I'm doing better. I'm not doing the sugary sodas mixed with it as much. I do diet or nothing at all. I've been shooting more. I'm trying to get in better shape, but I don't want to stop drinking. So here's my conundrum. But I like my whiskey. I like my tequila. And then honestly, my favorite drink is water. I love drinking water. It just, it's just there. I don't need to pay money for it. It's anywhere as long as it's clear.
No, I gotcha. I mean, as far as, I actually like tequila myself. I particular fan of either Casamigos, the one that George Clooney founded, or Terramana, the Rocks one. Two of the smoothest ones I've ever had. Like, you put them damn things in a margarita, and holy fuck, you better be careful.
Yeah, you can do them straight. You don't even feel them. They're pretty good. I found a couple other ones. They're a little bit more expensive, but on my Instagram, I do a couple of videos. I try to do them weekly, but I haven't been drinking as much, so I haven't been doing them. But I do like a taste test of certain ones and stuff. And I found some pretty good other tequilas that aren't those two, because those were my two that I would go to because they were cheap and they were good. And then I found some other ones, and I'm like, oh, okay. I have a wider range at my bar. So and I have a full bar. I'm sitting at it right now in my house, and it's always stocked. So we're pretty good.
Nice. And you bring up mixing sodas and booze. I actually stumbled on mixing. I'm a bit of a Dr. Pepper fiend. My wife tells me I got a problem. I tell her, I make this joke all the time, that I don't have a problem. I have it figured out. The only time I have a problem is when I don't have any.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea.
But I stumbled on one time. I had a shooter of Jack Honey laying around, and I had a Dr. Pepper already in my hand. I'm like, let me try this. Dumped it in there, and oh my god, it was so good.
Huh. I'm gonna have to try that. I've never heard of that. So that's something I'm gonna have to try. I'm not a big fan of that Jack Honey, but I guess I haven't found something I can mix it with. What you call it? So that's why I don't really care for it. If you can't mix something, I don't really care for it,
Mm,
because then I have to do it straight, and now I have to be a different kind of drinker.
gotcha. No, Bib, that makes sense. Last but not least, best advice for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
uh, it's kind of, I don't know if it's really a two-parter. It's maybe just me rewording the same thing. Um, First part, stick with it. You don't get good quick. There are some special cases that the guys are prodigies. I think MJF is one of them.
Mm,
That guy could talk. I remember I did a tryout for Ring of Honor uh, many years ago, like 5, 6 years ago, and it was like, I think it was his first year in the business, and I was 6 years in the business, and that guy had star written all over him. He was a prodigy. He got it. That doesn't come to everybody. That is 1% of the population of wrestling. So stick with it. You're going to go through ups and downs. There's going to
mm,
be a year where you're doing great. There's going to be a year where you're doing terrible. If you really care for it, you will stick with it and you will do great. You persevere. And then the second part of that is what I found out recently was be yourself. There, don't let somebody tell you that you can't be something. Uh, Now, there's two parts to that too. If it's not good, and like that you're the only one behind it, but like the fans aren't getting it, the boys aren't getting it, promoters aren't getting it, it's not good. Okay, they can't make money off of it. But don't compromise yourself and do something because somebody thinks it's funny, and it's a short-term thing. You
mm,
should honestly just believe in yourself, like you said, like we talked about earlier. The best gimmicks are when you're yourself, because people can believe that. So yeah, don't give up, and don't give up on yourself.
mm.
Those are the two. I guess it's basically the same thing. But yeah, and well, I guess there's one more piece of advice. Go to the gym. This is hard. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You got to be in shape. Dusty Rhodes had a gas tank, man. He didn't look like a bodybuilder. You gotta remember, this is, whether you want to call it a real sport or a sports entertainment, whatever. It is physical. People are trusting you with their body, man. You got to be in shape. So those are my three big ones that I usually, if I do a seminar, if there's some new kids, they're like, what do you want to say? One, it's gonna suck. Get through it. Two, be yourself. Three, get in shape, man, because this is the hardest thing you'll ever do. There's nothing that will get you ready for it. So you might as well come in the best possible. Give yourself the best shot by being in the best shape you can be.
Oh yeah, all great advice because I mean, people like to rag on pro wrestling being air quotes fake, but you get in the ring, the damage you guys take, there's no faking that. Like I've taken bumps in a ring before, and good lord, that was like a little pro wrestling boot camp, and I was walking funny for about a week.
It's only an inch padding on there. It's wood and
Yeah.
steel. And then like that, the bumps are easy. You fall down, you get up. The hard part is you got to pick up bodies. And now it ain't just weightlifting. You got to pick up a guy who's 200 pounds, and you got to be able to move them and stuff. And like
Mhm.
some guys come in and they think that, like, they think they go full bore into the fact that, oh, it's a fake. You still got to pick them up. You
Yeah.
still got to be able to control them, because, man, I've seen some guys, they come in and they go to pick up somebody, and then they literally do the thing where the guy falls on them because they're like, oh, you mean
Yeah.
there's a certain point where I have to be? Yeah, I'm not ragging on these people. Expect it. It's a physical thing. Come
Yeah.
in for something physical, man. You don't have to punch each other in the face. But man, some of these guys, I don't know. I don't know. They play too many video games or something. And
Yeah.
I don't want to sound old or anything or sound like that. But man, it's physical. And
Mm.
when I'm in there with you and you're in there with me, I hope that you expect me to protect and not hurt you too bad, but I'll beat you up. And I expect the same thing from you, man. It's like God. But yeah, that's enough. That's a rant for another time. I'm not gonna blow up your podcast with a rant about what I think about some of these people who come and visit. They go, "Oh, wait, you really have to body slam someone?" Yes, you do. You gotta punch them in the face sometimes. The chair shots are real. It sucks.
Oh yeah, and the other advice you brought up also very good on one, believing in yourself, because I've had this talk with a few different people. If you're not going to believe in yourself, one, the crowd ain't going to believe in you, and the promoter that you're expecting to book you ain't going to do it either.
Yeah, that's another. That's like when I did I did a 1 month between my old gimmick. I did 1 month off completely. I unfortunately had it was the August of that year, and I didn't have any bookings. And so I said, I'm not going to take any bookings this month. I'm done. I didn't even announce that my old gimmick was done. I just said, I'm going away for a month. I came back. I messaged the guy who Randy Carver from Limitless, I messaged him. I said, hey, your show is at the beginning of this next month. I have a new gimmick. Can we try it? He said, let's go. And and I believed in myself, and he had no idea what I was doing. He was booking me based off of my work. He wasn't booking me based off my gimmick. And I came in with that new thing, and he saw something, and it snowballed. You just believe. If you believe in yourself, somebody else will believe in you, and if you can get the fans to believe in you, then the promoters will believe in you, because they can't say no to people who are paying them. They can't. That's their job. Their job is to take money. And if the fans are demanding that they want to see you because they believe in you, well, no matter how much that promoter hates you, they kind of have to listen to the mob rules in wrestling. You saw it with Daniel Bryan in WWE when the Yes Movement and stuff. I don't really think Eddie. I want to say Eddie Kingston now in AEW, but like he came in and he didn't look like a wrestler or look like a wrestler that they were booking from WWE and stuff. And people got behind him, and you can't say no. You can't say no. And he can back it up. I'm not shitting on that idea.
Oh yeah,
but it definitely doesn't look like a CM Punk or an ex WWE guy that Tony Khan likes to hire right out from underneath them. He got over with the people, and the people became, like I said, mob rules, man. It's wrestling.
Oh yeah. Nope. And the last part I was gonna talk about, the thing about not giving up. And like you mentioned, not everybody's gonna get in there and be main eventing WrestleMania right away. You're gonna, like, I have certain people that have come up to me since I've been out of the military, and some younger ones ask about enlisting. I'm like, one, make sure it's 100% what you want to do, because you're like in wrestling, when you're going through some of your beginning years, you're going to have moments where you're like, God, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
And you break through that, you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And much like military going through that, same sort of thing with wrestling. You're going to have those moments where you're like, God, why am I doing this? But then you have things like, let's say you have a particularly rowdy crowd that's really getting into you, and then you're like, okay, that's why.
Yeah. I noticed that I have a pattern. It's like every other year I go through a good year, then there's a bad year, then there's a good year, then there's a bad year, then there's a good year, then there's a bad year. And it's been that for the past, it took me 8 years to be happy with myself. I stuck with it. There was a couple of times where I was done. I was being told by people, you're not making any money. And I was like, I agree. Why am I doing this? I can't afford to drive out to my shows. Why am I still driving out to my shows? And I think if you stick with it, no matter how hard the times go, stick with it. And then there is another side of the coin where you go and you just can't do it. That's a different conversation. Which we'll call it. If you believe in yourself and you actually take the steps, like I said, get in shape, get something that people can get behind, you will get over and you will be successful in this business. And just stick with it, man. You're not going to be, WWE's not calling you 2 months into training. You're not going to take your first bump at class and Bruce Pritchard ain't going to be going, hey, I heard that guy bump, bring him down. That's not, they don't do that. They don't do
as much as you might want them to.
Yeah, if that's your goal, that's fine, but you got to work for it, man. And it's not gonna. It might happen in 6 months. It might happen in 6 years. It might happen in 60 years. You don't know what's gonna happen. You just, if you really care about it, you stick with it.
No, yeah, definitely. And well, before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Byson. I believe that's both of them now. I changed them up. So if you type in Byson on Instagram and Twitter, you will find me. That's where I do. I mostly post just wrestling. There's not a lot of fluff out there. Maybe some weightlifting and drinking videos, but what's it called? Most of it is just wrestling. So you'll find me at all the promotions that I work at. Also follow my promotion I work for and partially own and run, Pro Wrestling Grind. They're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Grind Puro. It's a Japanese flavor independent promotion. We're starting our second year, and we picked up a lot of steam last year in our first year. We're going to keep it running, and you can see me on all those shows too. And actually, you can see most of the guys we talked about tonight, Warhorse, Gary J. We haven't gotten Masha yet. Her schedule's very busy, but we have a lot of those guys. They circle in with us a lot. So follow that too. Pro Wrestling Grind on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And like I said, Byson.
Yep. Nope. We will get all that in the description of both the YouTube and podcast platforms. My dogs are looking like they're wanting to get outside, so I'm gonna. Well, that is about it for the show. Want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight, and best of luck everything upcoming, especially out there with Pro Wrestling Grind.
Upcoming, we have a show actually on Friday this week. I don't know when this is going to air, but on February 24th, we're having our first show of 2023 in Massachusetts. It's called Overkill. You're going to see it on IWTV. Follow us on IWTV when we put those up on live, because we're not going to just be some YouTube wrestling. We're on YouTube, but we're going to be on IWTV. We're probably going to go into some live streaming too for this year. So keep an eye on that. IWTV.
Definitely will be keeping an eye on that. I have IWTV on my Roku TV right now, so I try to keep up.
Me too.
Definitely try to keep up with it. I mean, there's so many choices, but anyways, that is about all I have. Thank you again, and like I said, best of luck with everything out there.
Thank you.